All right, we're just doing it.
Do it live.
Doing it live. What's up, Bill? What do you
Hey, man.
did you catch Trump's thing last night?
I did not. I still need to watch it. What happened? I
Much
mean,
shorter.
I know what happened, but what did he say?
It was much shorter than I expected. It was like 20 minutes. It wasn't very long, but I mean, he was just kind of going through the charges and what's happening and yeah, it was interesting. Maddow decided not to broadcast it, which I thought was interesting.
Hmm.
Um
And just
so
for people who don't know, can you just explain specifically the charges?
No, I don't know the I just know he's facing what 134 years in jail.
Uh-huh.
I think
Well, and it's related to the Stormy Daniels payoff.
yeah, Stormy
Yeah.
Daniels. Yeah. I looked
Yeah.
yeah, that's a
All right. Well, if we don't know about it, we should probably not talk about it. I've
yeah.
got it. I've got the pond behind me. I will say. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah. Where are you in Connecticut?
I'm in Stamford right now.
Oh, Stanford.
Just yeah, just had lunch. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, like, I think that the Doge thing on Twitter is hilarious. Like,
Mhm.
it's so interesting to think. I think it's literally just a joke. But the question is, how much Doge does Elon hold? Like, it went up 25% when he when he
Yeah.
added that. It's just so funny to think about the like boomers who have no idea what that is. They're like, uh,
Yeah, I
what
know.
happened? Who's this
So
dog?
what do you think about him changing starting to change some of the news titles and symbols? I think didn't he give who was it? He changed someone's check mark to a clown emoji. Was it the
Uh,
you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think. Oh no, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, he I forgot what outfit it was, but one of the news organizations he changed their blue check mark to a clown emoji,
Are
which
you
I thought
sure?
yeah, let me here,
When?
I'll fact check myself in real time.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Bring that up.
yeah, clown emoji. I think.
Well, I saw ALX made a funny joke. He was like, if you get, enough community notes on you, a clown should show up on your page, and Elon replied to it.
Yeah,
Um, but so it's kind of related.
yeah. He changed NPR to state affiliated
Right,
U.S.
that's different. Right, but that's not a clown emoji.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I have to look that one up. Yeah, that
I don't
one
know, Sean. I think we just caught you.
could be fake news. Totally could be. I totally could have.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he specifically changed someone's channel icon that wasn't his. But
You think
yeah, I
that'd be?
mean, with the algorithm being, it's funny, like with the algorithm being open source now. Well, it's not actually open. Oh, it's a small part of it is open source. Just a very so it's on GitHub. But and it was funny on the call on the space when it was being announced and there were Twitter engineers and Elon were on there. One of the main categories of in the code was like about Elon specifically, and in the call he was like denying even knowing anything about that being in there, and they have since removed it. But they said that it was for the purposes of like tracking Elon's metrics, um, but not that they were necessarily favoring him, which may be true. But it's just funny that like on this public call, after so much time getting getting the algorithm ready to be released, everyone's asking for it because he had originally said that he would do it, and then suddenly they published the code, and like the most obvious thing is like his name in there, and he like denied knowing about it. It's just a little bit odd,
Yeah,
but it may very well be true. But it's just like, what was the holdup for all these months? If like it seems like people were probably going over it pretty deeply for the last few months, and then there's all this stuff that they actually didn't include with the open sourcing of it. So it's like it's a step forward, like it's a baby step,
yeah.
but
Is
it's
there is there
definitely net
anything?
positive.
Yeah, is there anything we learned from it, like from a mind's perspective? Anything? Is there anything that he released that is actually could be beneficial to like
it's not like anything. It's like it's pretty sophisticated, but it's the types of things you would expect. Like you get a promotion for various types of content. We learned that it is definitely true that links are demoted, and do not get boosted.
right.
So that is like they admitted it, and that's good. But link demotion is like particularly bad because even like from their perspective, oh, we don't want people leaving the app, but that just creates this centralizing force, and often like you do need to show someone a link, and so the fact that is limited, it sort of encourages, I don't know, it hurts users' ability to spread information. So
Yeah, it's interesting though, because like some links will perform well. Like some articles, if you post it on Twitter or Facebook, you'll see it a lot too. But those
not
links,
nearly as well as they could.
yeah, not nearly as well as maybe like native content. But sometimes you never know. I guess like images are still very powerful. But what was interesting, it's like how bad their ads perform. Like, I think that's what Elon needs to fix. Like, honestly, like their ads do not do very well.
Right.
How people don't like promoted content. So we were talking about this yesterday. Like figuring out how to get people to like want to buy ads and want to invest into the platform. So yeah, I was spreading fake news with the clown thing, but he removed the New York Times blue check. That's what he did.
Right. And they specifically didn't upgrade on purpose. And so it's like this, standoff between them, and it's kind of stupid. Like,
yeah.
But then I think they re-verify. I think they did end up, they changed the terms that said actually news brands above a certain size automatically get it.
Okay.
Because, you can't have the New York Times not being verified because people need to know who the real New York Times is, which kind of brings up the whole question of paid verification in itself. And payment definitely is a form of verification and proves that you're not spam. So we actually do that as well on Minds. If you get Minds Plus, minds.com/plus, you can get verified and, your channel gets boosted and whatnot. So, those are the right incentives, like people putting, contributing to the sustainability of the company, not being like a spam leech.
Yeah.
It definitely is a meaningful thing, but it doesn't mean it's your identity. It's sort of it's like a spam prevention measure, and it's good for the company and the app, but identity is not something that you have to pay for. It's like you are who you are, and brands are who they are at the end of the day. So the brand decides their identity, not the platform. Yeah.
Right. It's like the argument against Wikipedia, because Wikipedia essentially owns people's public image and they don't give access to them. So I understand with like the ID thing, and I agree, but what do you think about his idea with the feed? Like paid members actually move up in the feed.
Yeah, they just get promoted to the For You feed. That's kind of what the whole algorithm that they published talks about. I mean,
that's interesting.
The reality is that it's an understandable thing to do. It's too bad, but it doesn't mean that Twitter isn't free to access. But
but it does take away. So the argument is it does take away people who don't have paid accounts. It takes away their ability to like go viral or to get their,
Well, I think that I don't think it necessarily does that. I think you can still get into For You without having blue, but blue just helps you. So I would agree with that sentiment. Like, you shouldn't completely cut off access to free people to be able to get into the algorithm feed, but
You would
it's
eliminate bots.
what?
You would eliminate bots. I mean, that eliminates them because they can no longer, like, there's no advantage for them.
No, no, it's not. There's no ROI. So it's civil resistance.
Yeah.
So for us, like, we just do the chronological feed by default, and the For You feed is a secondary option. It's not primary. This is like the game that Instagram and Twitter and everybody play, is they want you to have the For You to be your default, not even your own chronological feed. So I think it might be sticky on Twitter now, where like if you go to latest, then it stays on latest. But I think their main default for the whole app is For You, and that's kind of like, it's a tough thing, because the reality is, when you look at the data, the For You feed does get more engagement than chronological, because just by the nature of the fact that it's surfacing more popular, engaging content, whereas a chronological feed is better for getting real-time news, but it's not necessarily better for surfacing the most like viral and engaged stuff, which is, in a sense, what you do want to see both. You want the real time, and you want more curated, but it kind of depends. So that's why it's all merging together. Like, feeds, there might be a chronological, and then it cascades into an ad, and then it goes into For You, but all in the same feed, so you don't have to go to a different tab. They're basically merging a bunch of different feeds into one feed, and it's just because people are lazy and don't really explore apps typically. So whatever, this is the rationale that these companies use for implementing algorithm by default.
What do you, so like, one thing that keeps coming up, and I'm seeing a lot more people talk about, is the ban on TikTok. I know we kind of touched on it yesterday, but like, are people going to support that? Like, that's such a weird thing to think,
Well,
because it's such a huge platform for it to just go away.
I mean, the Restrict Act is bad news. It's a Trojan horse. It's sad the way the whole thing played out, because TikTok is definitely a problem, but you can't, banning TikTok and criminalizing use of it with fines and using VPNs, like, that is totalitarian stuff. I mean, that's not okay. So they basically got everybody rightfully upset that TikTok was spying on everybody, and everyone was like, do something about it, Congress. And then Congress comes back with this absolute garbage that is so invasive, and it's like they manipulated people into thinking this was like a pro privacy and like freedom thing, but it's really not. It's the opposite. So this has to get overturned. It's absolutely not acceptable. It's Patriot Act. It's Patriot Act times doubled. It's worse.
No, I know, and the crazy thing is, there's a lot of people that are supporting it, and I think there's a lot of conservatives that are supporting it, which is very interesting.
No, there's not a lot. There's not a lot. You even saw like Jesse Waters rail into Lindsey Graham about it, because Lindsey Graham didn't even read. He didn't read it, and he signed it, and he was one of its main proponents. And he even got manipulated that it was, a anti-Chinese surveillance thing.
Well,
so he bought their own BS.
Well, that's the problem, though, because they do have a point, in the sense that it is a security threat for America. Like, TikTok's banned in China for similar reasons, right?
Right. Well,
and I know we're not China, and we're not trying to be China, but it does give them access to a lot of people's information, which, on the other hand, is like, that's scary too, But I agree. I don't think banning's the
This
right.
doesn't stop that.
No, it just, yeah. Anytime you ban it, it's like it makes it cooler to people. Like people are, yeah, it's like anti-establishment, it's rock and
yeah,
roll.
it makes you think that using TikTok is, you know, on a VPN is being like edgy. Like that is so messed up, dude. Like people who think that they're counterculture and like protesting the system by using TikTok, that is so crazy.
Well, and you've seen it too. I've heard, you know, friends have told me like their kids are in school or whatever, and there's some parents that let their kids use TikTok, and there's some parents that don't. And the kids in the school will say, "Oh, the cool kids are the kids that use TikTok." So it's become this like cultural thing.
Yeah, now it's messed up.
Yeah, now you have the government saying, "Oh, by the way, you can't do it."
It's a perfect storm, to be honest. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, it's very bad news. And
then you have big tech that is just stealing pretty much all the things that they're doing. I mean, like Facebook's using, you know, a lot of their tech, a lot of their algorithm. You know, obviously Instagram, like Reels became like a really big thing. So it's like such a wild, like it's hard to be on one side or the other. Like, what is the answer? You know,
it's what should have happened if the government had any idea what they're doing would have been for, you know, the Restrict Act to be the Encrypt app and the whole legislation is about implementing end-to-end encryption across the country and pushing encryption and privacy and making it so that, you know, and educating people that TikTok is a backdoor, you know, educating people, putting even a warning label. There should be warning labels on apps in the App Store that do stuff like what TikTok does. Mm-hmm. And there are no that needs to happen. Like you could legislate that apps in the App Store need to be labeled and disclose everything that they're doing. Like that's the type of thing that needs to get created. But they went the complete opposite direction, and it's a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So like I saw it was trending, like TikTok ban was trending or whatever. Like realistically, what are the next steps in this? Do we have any idea? Like
I actually need to look up like what the status is of the act and like, you know, with the voting and whatnot. I don't know that off the top of my head, so I need to look into that more. Yeah, if it gets passed, like things are going to get very, very dark. And I would think, you know, on the positive side, actually, that if it does get passed and they actually try to like ban TikTok and VPNs and everything,
yeah,
I would not be surprised if we saw protesting.
Yeah,
because and that would be a very odd and strange universal movement where it would be the pro TikTok people and like the freedom people both protesting the same thing together, because, you know, everyone agrees that we don't want to get apps banned.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, what side do you land on? And like, is Apple really going to listen to the government when the government comes in? It's like, hey, you got to wipe this off of your store. I mean,
Good question.
Might, but they've kind of told them in the past to screw off, you know.
Well, I mean, you can definitely limit apps by country. There are different apps. Yeah, they can easily do it. I don't know the answer as to whether they. Yeah, I mean, it would be great if one of them stood up against. I would need to look into it because, like, traditionally, like I think that Google came out against. There was the internet blackout, you know, a while, like that was 10 or 20 years ago, where I think it was with SOPA, Stop Online Piracy Act. It was like a very invasive censorship act, and Google actually supported it, and they like did a blackout on their logo and like came out against it. It was like one of the rare times when there was solidarity between, like, you know, Google and the open web. But, you know, I'm going to look into that and see where they're.
Yeah, it'd be a good question for like the people at Patriot Mobile or, you know, like any of the alt phone options.
Yeah, I mean, if we need to see kind of the status, but like there needs to be there's this group that we've worked with, which is, kind of their support for free speech. They're called Fight for the Future, and they've done these online like blackout campaigns. They're great organizers, but they're very like they're generally politicized, unfortunately, but like their roots are more balanced. So, that would just be so funny to me, and like out of a fiction novel of, all the far left, far right protesting the same protest together. All right, let's end on that note. Is there anything? I gotta hop.
Oh yeah. No, just excited to be in Austin next week. So just finalizing details on the stream, the music with bass. Yeah, man, it's gonna be exciting.
Everyone, if you go to festival.minds.com, still some tickets available, and yeah, we hope to see you out there.
Minds Fest Austin, Saturday, April 15th. Get tickets. It'll be in the description.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.